Okay, welcome back to Dictate Boxing. We might be closer than we've ever been to the potential heavyweight fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Listen, I'm going to get into Tyson Fury Makhmudov and the Anthony Joshua stuff in a minute. First, I want to talk about Conor Benn versus Regis Prograis and what this means for Conor Benn after that performance, after that fight, and kind of what the fans and his potential opponents have made of his performance in that fight against Regis Prograis. I don't know if you lot heard it, but there are a lot of fans in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium booing Conor Benn when his name was announced before the fight started. I think that is kind of where Conor Benn is now. He is a bit of a villain, and I think what's worse now is that performance against Prograis and the fact that it's not like he's gone in there and shut up all the doubters, all the haters, and put all that noise to bed. He went in there and yes, there were good moments, but the context is he left Eddie Hearn, done Eddie Hearn dirty for a $15 million one-fight deal for Zuffa Boxing and Dana White to fight, let's be honest, a 140-pounder in Regis Prograis, who was 37 years old, way past his very best. Went into that fight with a number of injuries, is what we're hearing going into that fight, and now we're hearing after that fight. Look, I'm not one of those to listen to excuses and stuff, but it does kind of sound like that was the case. And I think what was telling in the fight itself was, yes, Conor Benn landed some shots. Did he struggle with a southpaw orthodox clash at times? Yeah. That's why they kept coming in close together and, sort of butting heads. I mean, how many times did they butt heads? I think like 3 times. Is more the fact that Conor was unable to really hurt Prograis, wasn't he? When we've seen the power in the past, when he was originally at 147 pounds before going up and fighting Chris Eubank Jr., before the PED issue, he was in there starching his opponents inside the first half of fights, devastatingly. I'm pretty sure he's not knocked anybody out since the fight before he got caught for the PED issue. No, I'm not saying that is the case. That's why he was unable to knock out Prograis or even drop him. But that is kind of what some people are running with. And it's kind of understandable. Look, if you connect those 2 dots, it does kind of look that way, doesn't it? But saying that, he did drop Chris Eubank Jr. Some people might argue, yes, but Eubank Jr. was massively drained in that rematch. I think what was more worrying for me in that performance, and Andre Ward was consistently saying it on the comms, was that he was unable to find adjustments and, find ways around Prograis being very tough, being very experienced. He did show his experience in moments. Look, don't get me wrong, Conor Benn significantly won the fight. But again, when you go back to the context and the fact that when this fight was announced, everybody was kind of putting the pressure on Conor Benn, saying, listen, he's got to be stopping him. Certainly has to be winning, which he did do. But did he do it in devastating fashion to say to Ryan Garcia or Devin Haney, listen, no, I'm going to come down to 147 pounds and take your belt? I don't know. I mean, after that, despite the amount I would criticise Rolly Romero in the past, would I be confident in Conor Benn going and beating a Rolly? I'm not so sure anymore. I think the weight thing for Conor Benn, I don't think that's necessarily a problem. Look, I tweeted before this fight, the number one thing that I'm going to be taking notice of Conor Benn, it will be dropping down to 150 pounds. Is that going to drain him? Is it going to make his legs slow down? Is it going to ruin his endurance? Is it going to ruin his explosiveness? I don't think it did that. He still had that speed, still had the ferocity in moments, unable to land the knockdown or being able to stop the fight. Yes, it was 10 rounds. But I don't think he really looked drained or anything. I do think he'll be able to get back down to 147 pounds and that not necessarily affect him physically. Is that wise though? Can he carry that power down there? Because against Prograis, he was unable to. There was one time when he stunned him. And I guess, again, when I go back to the way Andre Ward was talking about it on comms, obviously, one of the very best to do it. Somebody with such a high IQ that Andre Ward has, somebody that is very close to a Shakur Stevenson, you could definitely hear the tone in his voice. The way he was going was kind of, well, at least to me, it was kind of implying, listen, there's a difference between these very best boxers, your Terence Crawford, Shakur Stevensons, him, and these exciting fighters that will get to a certain level like a Conor Benn, but there's a big difference, And I do kind of get it. Look, Conor Benn doesn't have a massive amateur background. He started boxing at, 17 or something. Remember that interview on Ariel Helwani's show between Shakur Stevenson and Conor Benn? And Shakur asks him, what age did you start boxing? I'm pretty sure Conor Benn said 17. And Shakur Stevenson said, "You're cooked." Now you kind of understand. And I mean, even off the back of seeing Teofimo Lopez get completely outclassed against Shakur Stevenson, and Teofimo Lopez, I think many of us would consider being quite a bit better than a Conor Benn. Now, the Shakur Stevenson thing, put that to the side because I think Shakur Stevenson beats everybody anyway. I don't really think we're going to see that fight anyway, anytime soon anyway, because he's not at 147 pounds, is he? I think the main one really is around Ryan Garcia, because Conor's obviously the mandatory to challenge Ryan for his WBC title. I don't think Conor beats Ryan Garcia. To be honest, I think Ryan stops him. Unless Ryan goes in there and performs the same way he did against Rolly, which I don't think he would do in a fight against Conor Benn, because it would just be too big of a fight. I think he'd be well prepped for it. Would Conor Benn have the IQ to be able to get around Ryan Garcia? And does he have the power to stop Ryan Garcia? Does he have the boxing IQ and intelligence to be able to plant traps or adjust mid-fight? We didn't see that against Prograis, did we?
Yeah. Garcia, I want my belt. Keep my belt warm. September, let's go. Any day of the week, twice on Sundays. 10 rounds, easy. Garcia, you're next. Keep my belt warm.
And this is a prime Conor Benn. You know, this is a prime Conor Benn. This isn't a 21-year-old Conor Benn. Is he exciting? Yes, absolutely, of course. You know, the way he boxes, how quick he can be, and he is kind of like a bull in a china shop at times, isn't he? Constant head movement, constant moving. But it does seem very raw, doesn't it? As a boxing fan, you can definitely see the difference between somebody that's very good, very exciting, like a Conor Benn, and then you go and watch the very best fighters, like your Devin Haneys, your Ryan Garcias, your Shakur Stevensons, Teofimo Lopez, these sort of guys, and there's just a significant gap, isn't there? So, yeah, look, Ryan's come out and he said that's a fight he definitely wants to do. It'd be a massive fight. I certainly would want to see it. If I'm Conor Benn, I'm not, even though he wants the WBC title, even though he'd want a mega fight against Ryan Garcia, and he is mandatory. If I'm Conor Benn, you have to try and chase down that Lewis Crocker fight, because that's probably your best chance of winning a world title. Do I think he'd beat Crocker? Maybe I'm being a little bit disrespectful to Crocker, and I think a lot of people have been. But I do think Conor Benn would be able to find a way to win that fight. And again, if he was to go in there against Crocker, then I think that's a better measuring stick to see how good Conor Benn really is. Can he really fight at that world level? Because Prograis, I don't really think we can run too much off that, because Prograis just didn't really do much, did he? You know, a 37-year-old fighter who's way past his very best. It was very evident that he is not at his best anymore. And I mean, he's retired since, so that tells you everything you need to know. There's a bit of talk about Teofimo Lopez. Obviously, he was there as well. Teofimo Lopez don't have a world title. Teofimo Lopez would be a significant favourite against Conor Benn. So yes, that's a big fight. But if you're Conor Benn, why would you take that fight? Absolutely not. It makes no sense to take that right now. So yeah, I think that is the talking point, isn't it? It's Ryan Garcia, Conor Benn. That's the fight to make. It makes the most sense. He is a mandatory. It is for the WBC. It is at welterweight. So Conor, get down to 147 pounds. Let's get that fight made. Now, let's get into the main part of the video, the headliner of the night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tyson Fury returning to the ring against Arslanbek Makhmudov. Again, a lot of fans not impressed with Tyson Fury's performance. I'm kind of on the other side of it, because when you consider the context, he's been out of the ring for 16 months. He is not in his prime anymore. He's a 37-year-old. He's said afterwards, he's come out specifically to fight Anthony Joshua. So it's not like he's chasing Undisputed or anything. I don't know what anybody would have wanted from that fight. Yes, of course, ideally, we would have wanted to see a knockout. But, I mean, he was landing flush and clean on Makhmudov, and Makhmudov was just eating him. You know, I think it's a little bit different to the Conor Benn one, because we've seen Prograis get dropped a number of times before. He's not in his prime. Conor Benn was the fresher, younger guy, whereas this fight, Makhmudov is a tough heavyweight. But like I said going into the fight, Makhmudov, he's not a fast boxer. He is stiff. He's plodgy. He's got no plan B, and his boxing IQ is so low, which is kind of crazy to say about a boxer with over 200 amateur fights. But I think realistically, if he was fighting in any other weight division, he'd be nowhere near this level. He's just so lucky that he's a heavyweight, and he's been able to carry some power and land some heavy shots to build up to where he is now. I mean, who am I to criticise a heavyweight that's just gone in headlines at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against Tyson Fury live on Netflix? Who am I to criticise him? But at the end of the day, He is not a good heavyweight, is he? And I mean, I felt like I saw that against Dave Allen. If Dave Allen, and by the way, Dave Allen is nowhere near the level of Tyson Fury. If Dave Allen really, really tried in that fight, which I feel like he could have won that fight. And look, saw it on Saturday night. I mean, what the game plan was, just try rush in and catch Tyson Fury inside the first 1 or 2 rounds. But apart from the first round, he had no success. And once Tyson Fury started to figure out the distance control and the timing and started letting his jab go, the way he was countering and moving and the way Makhmudov was just falling into the ropes head first. I mean, the way he was just going into Tyson with his, throwing wild shots from like wide angles and stuff, leaving his head wide open. Yeah. For me, he's not good. He tried clinching a lot. Anytime he tried to put his foot on the gas to Tyson Fury, he would be able to throw 1 or 2 shots and then instantly go into Tyson and clinch him. I mean, at what point are you going to adjust your game plan and realise you're not going to win that way? You can get away with it up until a certain point, but against a Tyson Fury, even let's be honest, past his prime Tyson Fury, who's had 16 months out the ring, even at that Tyson Fury was able to adjust and pick him off. Look, could Tyson Fury have got the knockout? Yeah, but again, I'll go back to it. Arslanbek Makhmudov was tough and had some flush shots, so it is what it is. You can't really just sit here and moan about Tyson Fury not being able to turn into Deontay Wilder and knock him out. But let's get into the main talking point of the night, which was not about any of the fights. It was about Anthony Joshua sat there ringside next to Eddie Hearn. He was obviously there for one reason, and one reason only. Listen, we had a little hint a couple fights before. I think it is before the Conor Benn fight. His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh doing an interview on Netflix with Josh Denzel, and he did hint that fight was going to get announced. Now, I was sat there expecting Joshua to get in the ring after Tyson Fury would win against Makhmudov and then do a face-off and the fight gets announced. That weren't quite what happened though, was it? So Tyson Fury obviously won against Makhmudov and straight away goes over to the ropes and points over to Joshua and tries to get him in the ring. He did that before getting on the mic and talking to Joshua. And Joshua said, no, look, this is you and Makhmudov's night. I'm going to stay put, whatever. And then, obviously, the winner got announced. Fury went on the mic. And straight away, it turns into wrestling. Fury's there saying, I challenge you, AJ, Anthony Joshua, to fight me, the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury.
I challenge you, Anthony Joshua, to fight me, the Gypsy King.
And after watching you here tonight, I'll punch you again. All due respect, tonight is your night, and I'll sit across that room from you in due time. You ain't gonna tell me what to do. I've been chasing you for the last 10 years.
You've been chasing
When
football.
you're ready, you come to see me.
You got to see me, because I'm your fucking boss.
And I'll have you in the ring when I'm ready. I'm the boss.
I'm the boss.
You work for me.
Look, there's two halves of different reactions to that situation. Look, some people are saying AJ was scared, just staying still, not getting in the ring. Look, AJ said, which I'm not saying that he's scared, but he was I would have liked to see AJ get in the ring and have a face-off with him. But I do kind of understand what AJ said afterwards in the one-to-one interview he did, where he said, listen, we've been in this situation so many times before, negotiating and stuff, and it's ended up falling through. So he's not going to just jump in the ring and get all the fans hyped up about it, and then when they get to the negotiating table, it ends up falling through. And I kind of get it. And also, it's a bit of a power play, isn't it? When they're saying, I'm your boss. No, I'm your boss. It's an alpha v alpha kind of thing. If AJ got in the ring after Tyson Fury called him into the ring, that could then, weirdly enough, I know boxing isn't about business, but it is about business when you talk about two superstars like these two. If he did get into the ring when Tyson Fury calls him in, that's something that could get pulled up in negotiations to try and get Tyson Fury more money or whatever. So I kind of get it. But the fan and boxing side of me kind of sat there and thought, AJ, just fucking get in the ring. And because, you sitting there while Tyson Fury's talking shit. I mean, the proof is in the reaction from some of the fans saying that AJ was scared. I don't think he was scared. Again, I'll go back to the power play sort of stuff. I do feel like this fight's going to happen, hopefully. But again, it depends if AJ's ready. AJ did say he's still not 100%. yet, you know, and that's kind of understandable. Tyson Fury said, look, he's come out of retirement specifically for this fight. So Tyson Fury very evidently wants this fight. His Excellency wants this fight. Fans, even now, despite it being years late, I still feel like this would do bigger numbers than any other fight in the sport of boxing. This is the biggest fight in British boxing history, even now, when they're both past it. There's no other fight for any of these. Look, I wouldn't mind seeing AJ versus Wilder, but now, after seeing Fury just go and beat Makhmudov and seeing that exchange between him and AJ, I'm not asked about Wilder AJ. You know, I'm not asked about warm-up fights. Come on, let's just make this fight. Let's make it, or else we're going to be sitting here for another 3 years waiting for it. They've got Uncle Turkey there, offering the money. You know, this just seems like the next best time to make this fight. And I think if they still don't manage to get it over the line, it'd be an absolute fucking travesty for boxing, not even just British boxing. This fight sells out Wembley Stadium probably about 6-7 times. Like, this is absolutely massive. Colossal. Like, this was, what, the second time we've seen those two interact face-to-face live on camera? Obviously, there was that time in Marbella where Tyson Fury drove past AJ. And then, obviously, there's stories about them ringing each other, talking shit, you know, talking shit on social media, and the sparring story from years ago. But, I mean, in terms of an actual interaction face-to-face, that is, like, the main time ever. So even that, when that happened, I was, not going to lie, I was getting gassed about it. Let alone if that fight actually got fully ticked off, signed, that first face-off, that first press conference between them two, their difference in personalities, everybody would watch the press conferences, let alone the fight. And before Saturday night, look, I still kind of really wanted to see that fight. But that interaction between them two, you know, AJ there sticking his middle finger up subtly at Tyson Fury, calling each other's bosses, that lit up the excitement for that potential fight again. And I think it has done for everybody. I mean, you've got casuals talking about it again. It's all over social media, the memes, the content that's come out around it. But we'll have to wait and see. I guess we're all kind of relying on Turkey El Sheikh to be able to put the money forward to do so. And then obviously it's about if AJ's ready to do it. You know, if we could do it without any warm-ups. I don't really think that there needs to be warm-ups now at this stage of each of their careers. And then I guess it's down to egos, right? Because that's kind of why it's fallen apart before. You know, the amount of times they've negotiated and it's fallen apart because of egos and money. Let's just hope that isn't the case this time around. But listen, look, we'll have to wait and see. As of right now, make sure to like this video. Make sure to comment down below. Make sure to subscribe to Dictate Boxing if you're new around here. And go follow Dictate Boxing on all other social media platforms. Links are down below. And we will speak very soon.